Hello and welcome to the Reflecting Light Show. I am your host, April Rogers, and I am so glad that you are back for another episode. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and today we have with us Michelle Foster. She is a friend of mine, and I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
I know, it's going to be such a great conversation. I cannot wait to get started. You and I are primarily new friends. We've served on some different retreats together, and we have gotten to know each other through different things. And you actually knew my husband back in high school and could tell some really great stories on him.
I could. We won't, but I could.
But I was glad that I get to know you and your husband, and we went on that marriage retreat and had just
an amazing
great time.
I know amazing
it.
time.
I know it. So tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, what you do, and then we're going to jump into also your story of why you're here on Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
All right, so I'm 47 years old. I went to West Monroe High School, born and raised in West Monroe. Been married to Keith for 23 years. We have a 22-year-old daughter, Kelsey.
Yeah.
And my sister and I co-own 4 local nutrition clubs and a permanent jewelry business. So we're busy. We're everywhere and just doing all the things. Giving back to the community is our top priority.
Yes. And so I'm really glad because today's sponsor is River City Nutrition, and that's a great way for us just to support you too.
Yes, we're grateful.
Endeavors. Yeah, it's going to be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into your story. We've been kind of teasing the audience with the fact that it's Breast Cancer Awareness, but I know that the Lord has brought you out of a season of darkness and into His light. And so let's just start at the beginning there.
All right. So in 2019, my mother-in-law was actually diagnosed with breast cancer in August, and she just was not giving up with everyone get your mammogram. And I finally broke down the end of September, went and had mine, and got a routine letter in the mail. You needed to come back for more testing. And I put it off, unfortunately. Yeah. And then I went back in November. So I was actually diagnosed on November 8th of 2018, I'm sorry. And then, so all through 2019, I did treatment. And today I'm 2 years cancer-free.
Wow.
And ready
That's
to.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's, I did all my treatment at MD Anderson, and I lived there actually for 6 weeks during radiation, and here we are.
So let's back up just a little bit.
Okay.
So whenever you got that letter in the mail and it said you need to go back, and you just kind of dismissed it for a little bit, and then finally you go in for your biopsy, and then they
called me 2 days later and said it's cancer.
Okay, and then so you had a tumor just growing inside of one of your breasts.
In my left breast. I had a 3 centimeter tumor that was growing in my left side, and I felt it, and I dismissed it.
Wow.
Because so many times you go for a mammogram and they tell you things, that you have dense breast tissue, whatever, and so I dismissed it. Didn't worry about it at all.
Yeah.
And then finally, something kept saying, you got to get this checked. And so I called my doctor, and he was like, no, ma'am, you're coming right on back to the doctor.
Yeah. And so what were your emotions whenever
I was a wreck. Like, to be honest, I had my biopsy, and they said, we'll give you a call. And whenever I saw the phone number come up on my phone, I instantly was sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
And I called everybody I knew. I couldn't drive myself to the doctor because I was such a wreck. I had a coworker that drove me to the doctor, and I called Keith. I think he was in a insurance enrollment or something. He couldn't get there fast enough. I called my mother-in-law because I knew she had been through it, and we just all piled right into one room to hear the bad news.
Wow. And so then they said immediately you need to start your treatment.
Immediately. You need to, well, my doctor said if you were my daughter, I would have you at MD Anderson tomorrow. And I was like, well, get me there.
Yeah.
And he had already started the paperwork, and there we went.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that experience, just going down there and just what you were feeling.
It's an emotional roller coaster. Like, going there in itself was enough.
Yes.
And then once we got there, they told us to be prepared for 3 to 5 days. We were there for 8.
Wow. Just running test after test.
Test after test. And the final PET scan they ran on a Friday and told me they needed to see me back on Monday. So Keith and I were like, well, we just have to sit here.
Yeah.
It was no sense in driving back to Monroe, back and forth. So we just sat there. We made a weekend of it. We went to the zoo. We tried to keep our mind off of it. And we went back and we listened to every single doctor's appointment over and over and over where we had recorded it on our phone just to try to pick up on something.
Yeah.
Hopeful.
Yeah. Okay, so before we go into the treatment part of it, tell me, like, where were you spiritually in your walk at that particular time?
At that particular time, we were in between churches. We were just not lost, but we were lost.
Yeah.
You know, we were unsure of where we were going. We were unsure of what we were doing. And we just grabbed a hold to the Lord right that second. And we said we were going to beat this and He's going to walk through it with us. And bless it, we did.
Yeah. And so as you were going along in this process, I mean, like, I know a little bit about it because of my mother having had breast cancer, and the Lord has healed her as well. But it's very daunting. I mean, you're sitting there and all of these different physicians are coming in and they're telling you these different things. But
all kinds of things.
Medically, if you don't have that background, you're kind of
I was
like
clueless.
a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, and I had no idea because what my mother-in-law had just gone through, she didn't have to have any chemo. She only did a little bit of radiation, a small surgery, and she was done.
Yeah.
I had never really known many other people to have breast cancer. And so what she did versus what I did was two total different ball games.
Yeah. And you were so young, too.
I was young and I felt like I was there by myself. I mean, I had him with me literally every step of the way, but at home, no one really knew a lot of what you were going through.
Okay.
I had a 20-year-old daughter that was terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Sure. Yeah. And did you ever get the testing done?
We did. Yeah. We did. And thank the Lord, there were no genetic mutations to affect her. So
yeah. Okay, so then after they give you the prognosis, then they start to tell you about your treatments. What kind of treatment did they recommend for you?
I did a chemo every 21 days. And I was thankful that MD Anderson sent my prescription here. I was able to do my chemo every 21 days here. And I went there like every 2 months, I think, for a checkup and to see how things were going, blood work. And then when it came time for radiation, I went there and stayed for 6 weeks.
And so you were telling me that whenever you would go in for your chemo, you would try to go right back to work.
I did. I took my laptop with me and I worked away for the 6 hours of chemo. And I only missed a couple of days of work because I would have to miss on the following Monday because I was sick. And so I would have to go back in and get some fluids. But I didn't miss a lot. I tried not to. I tried to stay as busy as I could.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I truly believe that your attitude is 99% of your battle. So I tried to be as strong as I could be.
Yes. And so how did you kind of pump yourself up and have a good attitude through it all?
I faced it. And I was like, we're not going to let this beat us. We're not going to let us get this down. And we're going to be as strong as we can. And I had an amazing support system around me that kept me as happy as I could be. And I leaned to the Lord a lot. Yeah. And I was just, I stuck beside be still.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I would just be still and I would let Him stand beside me, that He would walk me right through it. And He did.
I love that verse too.
Yes.
Be still and know that I am God. And it was like the Lord was just saying, stop.
And just don't go.
Quit. And then He literally was doing that for you, fighting the battle for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I kind of just let things fall the way they fell. And I was just obedient in what He told me to do. And I just walked right through it. And He walked right beside me.
So after you finished off with the chemo, was it then that they did a lumpectomy or?
Yes, I did a lumpectomy in between chemo and radiation, and once I healed from that, I think it was 6 weeks later, I went for 6 weeks of radiation, and then I had to have another surgery. But, it was minor. Nothing was real hard. So.
Yeah. And so what is going through your mind through all of that whenever you're having to go through the different surgeries?
That I'm never going to be the same. Never.
Yeah.
Really, I was like, I'm never going to look the same. Nothing's ever going to be the same.
Yeah. But you can have your health.
Yes, that's right.
I'm sure your husband was
at one
saying,
point I was like, I don't care if I have anything.
Yeah.
Just let me be here.
Yes. And so after that time of radiation, I'm sure that you living down at MD Anderson allowed you to make friends with different people? Or
I did, and I took a friend with me every week.
Yeah.
Every week. Thankful for Pilots for Patients. They would fly me home on Fridays. Mm-hmm. So I would make my radiation appointments early in the mornings. So I was able to be done by noon. I would fly home, and then on Mondays I would like them for late in the afternoon. And so I would fly back on Mondays. But every week I took someone with me. Keith went with me several times. I had some friends that went with me. My mother-in-law went with me and stayed with me for a week. Because there was no way I could do it by myself.
Yeah.
No way. I would not physically, mentally. I would have been a nutcase.
Yeah. And so that's the power of community, right? That's the power of having somebody to walk alongside. Yeah. Think about that scripture where it says to comfort others. And that's exactly what your friends were doing for you. They were coming alongside you and comforting you during that time.
And I have turned to that so many times. I've met so many people through my walk. And I still today, I had one yesterday, believe it or not, that called me that has just been diagnosed. And I've tried to walk through it with people, help them with their walk to MD Anderson and how it's going to be. And, just questions with chemo and being strong and write it all down. I have a book 2 inches thick of my thoughts, my prayers, my hopes. But I journaled a lot.
And so I was going to ask you, what were some of the things that really did help you to get through that dark season? And writing
it down.
Yeah.
And what helped me, I think the most, was people reaching out to me that were going through the same thing, that needed a little bit of encouragement. And a lot of people saw me strong. And hopeful, and I never had a bad attitude, ever, ever, ever. I never let it get me down. And so people reached out to me and they were like, how can you be so strong?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. And it's only by the strength of the Lord.
That's the only way,
All right, so did you lose your hair during
every bit of it?
Yeah. How was that, just from like a beauty and just being a woman? And
that was the hardest thing for me. So I cut it a little bit shorter, and then I cut it a little shorter, and it just thinned and thinned and thinned. It was the worst. That was the worst thing, and I finally went to my hairdresser, and I was like, let's just shave it.
Just take it off.
Let's just take it off. And Kelsey, believe it or not, she would not go anywhere. If she came to our house, put your hair on. If we went to the mall, put your hair on. Like, she did not. That was because I think that was what made it real for her.
Yeah.
Was seeing me with no hair. And so no matter what I did, I had my hair on. If I was with her, I had my hair.
Yeah. I remember my mom, and we went together, and she said, okay, I'm ready to shave it off. And that was one of the hardest days that I've ever had.
It's hard.
And just as a daughter, watching your mom go through that, I can identify with your daughter.
Kelsey did not go with me to get it shaved. She did go with me to get my first wig. And I think that probably traumatized her.
Yeah.
Like, she went and sat in the car. She was like, I can't. I cannot do this.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I know. And it's not easy, but praise the Lord that you were able to take the steps that you needed to beat this thing, to beat cancer. I mean, like, here you are, healthy, whole. You have your hair.
I have my hair.
Beautiful, and the Lord has healed you.
Absolutely, in so many more ways than one.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I want to talk about what life looks for you right now.
Okay.
We would like to thank today's sponsor of the Reflecting Light Show, River City Nutrition. River City Nutrition offers loaded teas and shakes. The benefits are a boost in metabolism, antioxidants, mental clarity, and reduced fatigue. Stop by any of their 4 locations in Monroe, West Monroe, or Farmerville today for your loaded tea or shake. And visit them on Facebook at River City Nutrition 1. Hello and welcome back to the Reflecting Light Show. We are here with Michelle Foster. Michelle is a breast cancer survivor, and we are talking about this month because it is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so, Michelle, we talked about your story about how the Lord has healed you of breast cancer. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into something that you said earlier about how people will call you now and how you are able to be a light for other people because of your story, because people know what God did for you. Mm-hmm. Now, then you have an opportunity to shine that light for them because now they're walking through that dark season and they desperately need to know, hey, God is for you. He's going to be with you. You just need to be still and He's going to get you through this. And so let's talk a little bit about that, about how you were able to do that in specific instances.
Specifically, I mean, just a prime example is Nicole Currington. She was diagnosed not with breast cancer, but with a throat cancer right after I was diagnosed. And so I was able to spend a ton of time with she and Kathy at MD Anderson. And, you know, I was able to bring her some gifts and just be there and know that you're going to get through this. It's going to be hard, but we're going to make it. We're going to fight and just be still, and He will walk through it with you. I have people often call and just say, you know, help me navigate the road. Yeah. Just help me navigate the road. You know, so I've encouraged people, some of the things that helped me, lemon drops, as simple as a lemon drop for nausea. You know, hot tea helped with the nausea. Different things. I always recommend getting a journal and writing because nothing truly helps more. But if you keep a good attitude and you look forward, that is 99% of your battle.
Yeah. And I think journaling is so powerful because whenever you look back at it, you can see the hand of God all over your story. And that to me is one of my favorite things about journaling. I've never been a good journaler. Like, you know, I never kept a diary in grade school or anything like that.
And I still don't write full pages, but I will jot down a sentence here and a sentence there whenever I need to.
Well, and that's one of the things that the Lord taught me how to do as well, you know, just to start to write down my prayer requests and to write down the things that are bothering me, and then to write down whenever He comes and He answers that prayer. Yes. And so what I love to do at the end of the year is just look through all of that, and I'll just kind of write answered real big across that. And we can see His hand, His faithful hand on every aspect of our lives.
And I often tell people, write your prayer request down. If you go to the doctor and you have a bad blood work, write that down. No one is going to pray for it, and if you don't ask for it. Yeah. You know, so write it down, and next week whenever you go back and your blood work's perfect, answered.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. There it is.
And find you a prayer circle. No matter how you have to do it, reach out. And so I'm always, if you will see me on Facebook a lot of times, prayer request for so-and-so going through breast cancer. And I have a large community. So, I feel like if you have prayer warriors, reach out to them no matter where you can find them.
So how did you find your prayer warriors? Did they come and present themselves to you, or did you
I did. I had a great group of friends, a great group of praying friends, and their circle got bigger and bigger and bigger and rallied around me. And we had some, I think right before we went to MD Anderson, we met at a little church over here in Monroe. I'm not even sure the name of it. And there were tons of people that got around me and prayed right before we left and we went. And I just have kept a strong group of praying friends.
I think that that's important to discuss as well, because prayer is often underestimated. But
So
it
often.
changes everything if we do it. If we do it. But a lot
And
of
we
times,
faithfully do it.
Yes, and a lot of times we think, oh, well, the Lord knows our thoughts and we don't have to pray for it. No, like bring your request to God and then that peace will come in.
That's right.
But a lot of times it's underestimated. We just kind of sweep it off to the side.
You
But
do, because you
it
often
changes
think,
things.
oh, He knows. He knows what I need.
Right.
You have to tell it.
Yeah.
Ask for it.
That's right. That's really good. Okay, let's go back to your community and just the importance of having people that will lift you up, because I'm sure that there were days that your attitude probably didn't feel like it was at its best. But having that community and being able to have them support you, just kind of give a little example of what they did.
So a friend of mine made a Facebook page for me. It was Just Beat It was the name. It was Michelle's Mission, Just Beat It. That was our little logo our slogan we went through. And when I was having a bad day, I was quick to post on there, hey guys, not feeling good. Today's the day.
Yeah.
And, they would reach out to me by the droves and they'd be like, we're praying.
That's good. That's really good. Okay, so what does life look like for you today? Because I'm sure every now and then fear will want to raise its ugly head and creep back in to what you're doing now. And
it does.
How do you combat that?
That's hard. Fear is hard. And I've always said, your faith has to be stronger than your fear, but that's easier said than done.
Sure.
Every little thing, your first thought is, oh my goodness, this is some sort of cancer.
Yeah.
My first thought every time you go to the doctor and you have blood work, you hold your breath until you get your results back. And so it is hard. Fear is very, very hard.
Yeah. And so what do?
I just battle through it.
Just go.
I just battle through it and I pray.
Good.
I just pray that everything's going to be okay, and it has been okay. And I've been thankful that I was able to resign from my full-time 40-hour-a-week job back in 2020. And my sister and I, like I said, opened 4 nutrition clubs. So that keeps me super busy, so I don't have a lot of downtime to worry. But, just when fear does sneak in, I find something to do.
That's good. That's good. Like a lot of times, just keeping yourself busy is the best thing that you can do to move on past it. How about your mother-in-law? How's she doing?
She's great. She is great. She just found out a couple of weeks ago that she's able to stop the 5-year pill or 10-year pill or whatever. Her blood work's great, and so she's able to get off of that, which will make her feel so much better.
Yes, that's so good. See, God has been faithful in your life and in her life.
Yes, definitely.
And I think that that's an important message. If God did it for you, He can do it for them.
He can do it for you.
Yeah, that's right. All right, do you have any advice that you would want to give the viewers?
Absolutely. Your body will tell you when something's going on. I'm a huge believer that you go get your mammogram no matter what. Go. Yeah. Whether you think you need it, whether you don't think you need it, go and listen to your body. If something's going on, not only just breast cancer, if you feel something in your body, see about it.
Yeah, that's good. And that's really good advice for
anybody.
Yeah. If anything is out of whack, your body tells us that the way that God created us is beautiful, and it is able to flag things whenever we need to.
Yes. So listen,
if it's off kilter, get it back in kilter.
Your body.
Yes. Well, this has been the most enlightening conversation. I am so grateful that you were willing to share your story. I know that it's not always easy, but I think that for people to know that they are not alone, and somebody else has walked through that, and it provides hope and it provides light, which is what this whole show is completely about. So thank you for being brave enough to do that.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I have one more question for you before we go. What is one thing that is lightening your load these days?
Whew. it's a heavy load. It is a heavy load. But lightening my load, I feel like as busy as I am, I'm having the most fun that I've ever had. And going around and giving back to our community through our businesses has been the most enjoyable thing that we have been able to do. And every time we can give back, I feel like the load has lightened because it's amazing.
Yeah. And you do that by doing your businesses and church work and the different things that you're doing.
Yeah, serving on the retreats has been amazing.
Yes.
And I would go to one every weekend if I could.
Absolutely. I know. Who wouldn't?
Yes.
God shows up at every single one of them.
Every one.
Yes, He does. Well, Michelle, thank you again for your light and for your testimony. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Reflecting Light Show. We pray you got some hope and some light out of today's episode. And if you did, please subscribe to the show and also share with a friend who may need the light of Jesus Christ in his or her life. If you haven't gotten your copy of Made to Shine, you can do so by going to aprilrogers.com. Go out and have a great week and be the light.